Joining us now is Senator Pauline Hanson. Thanks so much for your time. I know you've had meetings on the Ensuring Integrity Bill, meeting with union figures and so on. Where are you at on that at the moment? Are you going to back the government's bill?
You're right. I have had extensive meetings with the unions, from all sides. I'm very disappointed in the government. I actually spoke to Christian Porter with regards to putting out the amendments more than a week ago. He assured me it would happen. Then I was told it would be Tuesday this week. I actually received them Friday afternoon. We know that, legislation is pushed through this place and they don't get it right a lot of the time. All we're doing is band-aiding and trying to clean up the mess that's happened. And I don't have any intentions of rushing this through. And I gave my assurance to the unions that I will actually talk to them about the amendments. And I've had good discussions with them. They raised a lot of good points in the bill, what was wrong with the bill, and I have looked at that and put amendments up to counteract that. But in all fairness, I think I should have the opportunity to take this back to the unions and talk to them further about it, and I have got meetings with them today.
What are you discussing in those meetings? What are your particular concerns with the amendments, where they're at now?
Well, look, as I said, I only got them Friday afternoon. I've had commitments over the weekend. I haven't not had an opportunity to really have a good look at the amendments, and I'm not going to rush this through. As I said, we're either putting in disallowance motions, we're putting in further amendments to bills, or their attitude is, oh, let's just get this through, we'll clean it up later. Sorry, that's not good enough. We're talking about workers out there. We're talking about jobs. And the government continually brings in free trade agreements, which they're passing today, the one with China and Peru and Indonesia and Hong Kong. So another free trade agreement that's going to bring in Australian workers into the country. And again, Australian jobs are going to be lost. Now, the unions are fed up with this, and they're actually angry with the Labor Party and the coalition for not looking after Australian jobs, and that's something that I have been fighting for.
Do you think there's a double standard as well between the treatment of business? We saw the Westpac breach, some 23 million breaches, and do you think there's a disparity between the way that the businesses are being dealt with as opposed to the unions?
Of course it is, and I've said that also. Why shouldn't corporate white-collar crime be dealt with? And when the Prime Minister says, oh, well, it's not up to us, the government, to deal with the banks, it's up to the boards to deal with it. But they're coming out with a sledgehammer against the unions and doing what they're doing. So I think there's a double standard here.
So your support is not guaranteed here on this bill?
Of course it's not guaranteed. No, it's not guaranteed, because I'm going to look at the amendments. I will take what time I need to assess this and look at it on behalf of the Australian workers. Those people out there, they're doing it tough. All they want is a fair go. When the government keeps opening up the doors and bringing in more workers into the country and they're losing their jobs, they don't get a fair go. Look, I've had really hard meetings with the unions, and I said to them, you're not angels. They admitted it. They don't always get it right. And when they're on jobs, it costs construction 30% more. I voted with the government on the ABCC bill, and it has cleaned it up a lot. But, I'm not going out there to union bash. I'm not going to go out there and just follow in line with the government, because that's what they want, because they're looking after the big business multinationals. They can't even deal with the multinational companies here. They can't even deal with China that's taken over this country.
Is your concern, your big concern, that you want any breach to be sufficient enough to deregister a union or an official? Is that your main concern, that if someone is going to be deregistered or a union is going to be deregistered, that it has a gravity of breach that's checked by the courts as opposed to some official?
Well, it has to be, because it was so open-ended that someone who's a member of the union can be pulled up for a breach. And yet they're more... we have all these other organisations, APRA, ASIC, and all these different organisations. Rocks, they put in rocks and everything like that. And it should be definitely up to the courts to actually deregister, not up to a government at all. But start dealing with white-collar crime in this country. Start dealing with the real issues that Australian people are concerned about, rather than going out there and dealing with something that I think is not important. We're going through hard times with the farming sector, with droughts, and I feel that since this government has been put in, I'm very disappointed in this government, very disappointed. And I just feel they're not dealing with the real issues that are concerning the Australian people. We're going through one of the worst droughts in this nation. And then what are they doing for the farmers? Absolutely nothing. You know, there's hoops that people have to jump to get monies or fill out the forms or to try and help them. And we're dealing with this on the floor of Parliament. Again, they're pushing through the free trade agreement. Did we discuss it? We don't have a say in it whatsoever. This is rubber stamping, and I am not going to be here just to rubber stamp the government's legislation.
Do you think there's any chance you'll have enough time to consider before the sitting fortnight, or do you think ensuring integrity won't have your support this entire fortnight?
Well, I'm not going to say anything about that. I will take my time this week to actually sit down and have further talks with the unions, and I'm going to make the decision that I think is right for the people and for this country. I'm not going to be pushed or badgered or bullied or threatened by anyone. I don't care whether it's the government or the unions. I will make a decision what I think is right for the people in this country. And my heart's with this country, and my heart is with the people. And to feel that's right, because I'm sick and tired of seeing governments sell us short.
Were you, on another matter, you touched on the drought, are you going to, with the farmers, try and get a compromise through on the Dairy Code of Conduct? Where's that at?
Well, the submissions were supposed to be in by the 22nd of November. They're having a meeting tomorrow, what I can understand, with the bureaucrats in Sydney. What I've just learnt is all the who's attending that meeting must sign a confidentiality agreement. Why? Why aren't they open and honest with it? As far as I'm concerned, Bridget McKenzie has been hopeless, pathetic in this whole thing. She has dragged her feet on this. Why change from a code of conduct that was prepared by the ACCC and now put in something totally different that supports processors? She's looking after the dairy farmers in Victoria and letting the rest of the country fall to the wayside.
So who has to sign that agreement before they attend? This is members of the dairy industry?
Yes, everyone who's attending the dairy industry must sign a confidentiality agreement. Why? Why are they so, and as she said in an interview, oh well, a lot of people complaining about the code of conduct that's out there because it protects the processors. It doesn't look after the farmers. So these people who are attending the meeting tomorrow, these dairy organisations, if they sign the confidentiality agreement, then they can't go back and talk to the members about it. And this is what the farmers, they are not directly involved in it. They leave it up to those people. Who knows who's rubbing who's back? What deal's been done? And I'm sorry, I don't trust all these organisations, and I don't trust the minister, and I think she's got self-interest in this. As far as she's concerned, I think she'd rather see it not come in because it doesn't support her state, Victoria. She's not the Minister for Australia when it comes to the dairy industry. And I will not sit back for the next 2 weeks and do nothing for the last 2 weeks of Parliament and see that for the next 2 or 3 months when Parliament's not sitting, to see more dairy farmers go under and lose their livelihoods, their businesses, or suicide. I will not see it.
So what do you want to happen then in the next 2 weeks in terms of the response? You wanted a floor price. What will you do in the next couple of weeks?
I'm going to push for that. I will talk to Rex Patrick about it. I want him to see some common sense in this. That's what the dairy industry. I had Queensland Dairy come to see me, an organisation. They have 78% of the dairy farmers in Queensland. I had New South Wales also came to see me. They want this code of conduct. They want the floor price. It was in a letter to me. And Bridget McKenzie comes out and says they don't want it. Well, that's a lie. An absolute lie.
And just finally, we've seen this really shocking story about a Chinese spy payoff possibly coming into federal parliament even. Are you supportive of Rex Patrick's move that there should be reports done by ASIO given to the Prime Minister to stop any kind of Chinese spy entering Parliament?
Look, I think it distresses me to think that we have people that want to infiltrate our Parliament, and I believe it is happening. I have no doubt about it whatsoever. And I commend Andrew Hastie in following this through. We have to be so vigilant in it, and that's why I support there has never to be dual citizenship in our Parliament. People have have allegiance to Australia. And it can be so easily done, and it's very hard to say. You could have a Chinese Australian who's very loyal to Australia, who wants to become a member of Parliament. The doubts will always be in the minds of the Australian people. It will always be my doubt. Can you really trust these people? Can you trust anyone in our Parliament?
Yeah, in terms of current members of Parliament, do you have concerns about current members of Parliament? Or?
No, I don't.
No.
I don't with the current members of Parliament.
Okay.
But it is a concern of ours if that's what they're aiming to do. Look, I can see that we've lost Australia. We have sold so much overseas to China. Our land, 25% of our agricultural land in Northern Territory and Tasmania is owned by the Chinese. Look, the Foreign Investment Review Board, what a joke that is. It rubber stamps. They don't investigate everything at all, and that needs a full investigation into it. So I have grave concerns where the country's headed, and so do the Australian people.
So you don't want Gladys Liu to get up in Parliament and make a statement like Rex Patrick was asking for just a short time ago?
Look, he can ask what he wants to. I thought we'd been through all that with Gladys Liu. You can't put the light on everyone just because of their ethnic background. You know, let her prove by her actions. I know it's been brought out previously about it, but I'm not going to ridicule her. I don't know the truth. Let's hope that we have the authorities that will further investigate that. If it needs investigation, that we do know the truth, that we have not been infiltrated in our Parliament.